Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of To The Point Podcast. I'm your host, Noah Warren. Hope you're all doing well on this Wednesday. I apologize for no show yesterday. Was ready to go live. Late shipment at the office. All had to be refrigerated, so I had to help out with that. Ended up going till about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I was wiped, to be honest. Couldn't find it, but we're back today, full force. And there was some positive news on that front. I got slept from 6:30 to 8:30 last night. Didn't fall asleep till after 1 o'clock, but hey, 2 hours of sleep in that window, I will take that every day of the week because I need the rest. So that was good. That was good on that front. We're back today, locked and loaded. Lots to get into in the world of sports. Shamus will join me a little after 5 o'clock. We'll get into his Leafs making a trade today. I'm going to talk about their game Monday night and start chatting about their game tonight where they play New Jersey, who's won 13 in a row, looking to set a new franchise record tonight with their 14th straight. My Devils riding hot. We're going to talk about the Bruins today, Mr. 1000, if you will, and Patrice Bergeron and that scene Monday night. They got the Panthers tonight. A whole lot of games in the NHL tonight. Why? Because there's no NHL games tomorrow. Tomorrow is American Thanksgiving. 3 NFL games. Today we will preview all 3. I will chat about the betting lines. And for the rest of Week 12, that will be tomorrow afternoon. Matt Wright will join the show. We will talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about his Patriots. We're going to talk about different starting quarterbacks. We're going to give you our turkeys of the year for the world of sports, just losers in sports this past year. We also will go through the betting lines for every game that's not Turkey Day game, which it's not a great slate this weekend for games, but hey, when there's gambling involved, we can make money on crap football. I do it almost every day. And we will talk about college football. I want to talk to Ryder about this. There's so much happening in the college world right now. I want to talk about the transfer portal a little bit and what that's going to look like moving forward. And we're going to go down some paths. We're going to talk about if this team wins, if there's a loss. I want to go through that hypothetical, that type of arc with Matt Wright. So Ryder, 2:15 tomorrow afternoon with myself. We'll chat, go home, watch some football. Also, I had this pitch to myself today because that's the only people I can pitch to are you all who listen and myself when I'm by myself. So I was thinking, why don't we in Canada do this? Number one, change our Thanksgiving from October to November. Easy, should have been done a long time ago. Done, right? So get that done. Also, why don't we do like we do in December? We have Christmas off, stat holiday, and then Boxing Day. What if we moved our Thanksgiving to November 24th to align with the states? This has nothing to do with the states in principle. They just have better holidays. They celebrate holidays better. I'm not a very celebratory person. I don't really particularly love holidays that force you to intermingle. But hey, people like celebrating. Let's do this. So November 24th, every year, it's an off day for workers around Canada. So that would be a Thursday. The 25th, aka Black Friday. Here's my idea. Why don't we steal a holiday? Because if you don't want to introduce a new one, let's get rid of one so that we can put Black Friday as a holiday here in Canada. My pitch, get rid of Family Day in February. Family Day is a stupid Trudeau made-up holiday that he did to try to get more popular. I still can't stand the guy, so it hasn't worked over here. I don't know about all of you. Yeah, you might still vote Liberal, but you'll like that idea even more coming from me. So get rid of Family Day in February that nobody gives a shit about. Put it in November. The last full week in November, Thursday, Friday off every year. Set in stone like Christmas Day and Boxing Day. It's the same principle. You have a major holiday. Boxing Day is a shopping day. You go to the mall, scoop up all the shit you couldn't get during Christmas. In Canada going forward, Thanksgiving in November, Thursday off, and then take away Family Day, make it good Black Friday, aka November 25th every year, off. Simple solution. It's better. People would enjoy it more. Now, me personally, I hate a Monday holiday. Can't stand it. I like getting a day off later in the week as opposed to earlier. I don't hate Mondays. I like working on a Monday. It feels like a work day. Get your ass out of bed. Get going. Get your week going. You don't need to sleep in for 80 hours on a Monday. Then you start Tuesday and it's just off. Get that Thursday, Friday, 3-day work week, and then you're done for 4 straight days. You can eat your turkey, hang out with family if you want to, or more importantly, this is selfish, but it's also a good idea. You get to eat turkey, watch football every year on the Thursday. Love it. That's my ideal world. Eat food and watch football. That's all I ever wanted in life, to quote Kevin Malone. Then Friday, Good Friday, if people want to shop online, go ahead. I'm not going to, but go ahead, do it. Buy your Christmas shit. I'll buy it full price because I'm cringy, because I'm stupid and just aren't going to do it then, because it's way, way too soon to start buying gifts. But people can do that. They can buy their Black Friday crap, buy an 80-inch screen TV. Everybody's winning. Also, what do we get that afternoon? There's college football. There's NHL afternoon games, NBA afternoon games. There's plethora of entertainment. Another day, leftover turkey. And then you also got Saturday and Sunday off after these 2 days. Who opposes this? Who says no? I'm telling you, it's so easy to be a politician right now. I could do it. I pitch this idea and I get rid of daylight savings time, I'll be in office for a decade. Trudeau has been. He's been fucking up everything he does. I could be in there. You're telling me I can't? Maybe I should run. Looking for something to do. Another project. Is anybody opposed to this idea? I can't see anybody being opposed because it's an ingenious thing. To me, anyway. Not to toot my own horn. Maybe I'll pitch this to Shamus later on in the show. I think it's brilliant, but maybe he'll hate the idea. But I don't know how you can. Food, football, shopping, family. In that order. But anyway, tomorrow's American Thanksgiving. We got to work here because our Thanksgiving's in October. Wah, wah. But I'll preview tomorrow's 3 games later on in the show. But I had to start today with breaking news. Came out this morning. And it's not the World Cup, even though there's been some upsets. Japan beat Germany. Costa Rica beat Argentina and Lionel Messi. No, the breaking news is that Zach Wilson, the New York Jets' second overall pick a season and a half ago, the man who's gone 5-2 as a starter this year, has been benched as their starting quarterback. Robert Saleh came out this morning and announced that Mike White will be the starting quarterback this week for the Jets, and that Zach Wilson was told in a team meeting he is going to be on the bench. This is something I've been pushing for 4 weeks now. This was a smart decision, but I can't give Robert Saleh that much credit because it was the only decision. Zach Wilson had 2 total offensive yards in the second half of that game against New England. 2. He threw for 77 yards for the entire game. He got sacked 4 times. The Patriots dropped 2 interceptions. He played like crap. That defense was lights out, and he did everything he could to get that team to lose. And they did on a punt return. And then after the game, he's standing there cocky and cavalier, and the reporter asks him, "Do you feel like you let your defense down?" And he says, no. Nope, didn't elaborate, nothing. Just no. To be that entitled, to be that self-absorbed, to give that answer tells me you're not a good team player and you shouldn't be a long-term answer at quarterback for any team. Zach Wilson is a problem, not a solution. Zach Wilson was a mistake. The New York Jets saw him at the pro day at BYU, and he could throw off his back leg and he could do all kinds of rolling things out of the pocket. But I don't think they looked at the clear picture. They didn't look at the quarterback that can do it all. It was just, this guy's got a lot of potential skill. He can do a lot of crazy things with his arm. He's Mahomes-esque. When Justin Fields was a Heisman finalist, sitting right there. Justin Fields was sitting right there. Even Mac Jones had just won the national championship. And you don't select him, you take Zach Wilson. And for months, it was Trevor's going 1, Zach's going 2. There's no doubt about it. The Jets were taking Zach Wilson. Since he got to the Jets, he's either been injured or played poorly. Robert Saleh is making a now move and not a future one, although they might be intertwined in this scenario. Normally, the NFL tells you, or management would, we got to play our second overall pick at quarterback. He's our future. We can't bench him. We can't lose him. He's going to quit on this team. He's going to ask for a trade, yada, yada, yada. When you turn to the youngster, the keys are gone. The youngster has free reign. Well, with this decision, you said enough. You said, we don't care about what the future holds in New York for Zach Wilson. We are comfortable if we have to cut Zach Wilson after this year, after 2 years, as our quote-unquote starting quarterback. Josh Rosen was traded after 1 season from Arizona to Miami. They drafted Kyler Murray number 1. He was moved out. He never lasted. This happens. There are busts at positions all over the place. Quarterback is the hardest one to draft. Zach Wilson has never looked good. He's never looked comfortable. He's never looked like a great quarterback. The Jets are starting Mike White. I would have started Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco knows what it's like to go on a stretch drive. Joe Flacco knows what it's like to win really close games down the stretch. He started the first 3 games. I don't know why Mike White didn't start the first 3 games. Now he's starting now. That's all question marks for me. But you can't go back to Zach. You got to go to a different guy, a different voice in that locker room to give them hope. I saw Garrett Wilson on Sunday running routes. He was beyond frustrated. Denzel Mims, Tyler Conklin saying, where was that pass going? What was your thought there? That was not open. That was not a good play. And you can't throw him out there again hoping that things are going to go any better. You have to change it up. For Zach Wilson, how you handle this is going to tell the league a lot. I don't think many people around the league like Zach Wilson as a prospect. It's impossible to watch the tape and think that this guy's a great quarterback or going to be a future answer. But if he's petulant about this, if he bitches about this, that will only sink him deeper. He'll only be further pushed aside by the league and said, you know what? We're not bringing this guy in as a project because he's just a whiner. He just complains. Enough. The Jets made 2 moves today. They said goodbye to Zach Wilson, I believe. Could he start again this year? Yeah. And if they lose this week to the Bears and Mike White plays average, Zach Wilson will probably start the following week. Probably. But I think at the start of next season, I said this before, I don't think Zach Wilson is a New York Jet. I just don't. They have too talented a roster to bring him back as the quarterback. They got Pro Bowlers all over the field. They have an all-pro caliber defense. They got a generational talent in Sauce Gardner at corner. Garrett Wilson looks like a really good receiver. His numbers aren't that great because his quarterback sucks. The Jets have a roster that could win a Super Bowl. They need a quarterback to match it. To me, the Jets scream a veteran quarterback. The Jets scream Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers. Maybe. But for the Jets making this move, they are playing for today. They are playing for today and not tomorrow because they think Mike White gives them the best chance to win this week. They got the Bears. The Jets are 6-4. They're a game out of first place in the AFC East. And they have wins against the Bills and the Dolphins. So they're in a good position. They're 0-2 against the Patriots. You play the Bears. Justin Fields may not play. He's got a shoulder injury. May require season-ending surgery. Still not known. You win that game, you're 7-4, and you are in the mix down the stretch. They got the Bills again. They got the Dolphins again. They got the Seahawks. They got the Jaguars. They may have the Niners. They have some tough games, but they also have some winnable ones on that schedule to get 8 to 10 wins this year. You are this close, you can't give up on the season. You can't punt. Again, I would have gone to Joe Flacco. That's the one thing I don't agree with in this decision is Joe Flacco would have been my starting quarterback this Sunday. The veteran who's won a Super Bowl. Is he great? No. But you went from bad to not as bad. It's not like you have a Gardner Minshew sitting as the second string quarterback. Gardner Minshew's better than every quarterback on this roster. But if Joe Flacco played every snap of last week's game, they beat the Patriots. Because Mac Jones and that Patriots offense is that bad. Joe Flacco wins that game. I think Mike White wins that game. And to his credit, Mike White made 2 starts last season. In one start, he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. The next week, he threw for 4 interceptions and less than 200. A wide disparity in what he could be as a quarterback, for sure. We'll see if he can find some consistency this week when they play the Bears. We'll talk about that game in detail later, but I found that so interesting that the Jets pulled the trigger. I applaud them. I applaud them for doing it. Robert Saleh is a coach that is trying to win games. I also think he knows his job is safe. And that's a big deal. He might get a new quarterback, a new lease on life next year with this team, and he could be the long-term head coach of the New York Jets and have some stability there. So if he gets some good quarterback play with this roster, that team will be formidable. The AFC East will be very tough. With Tua and the weapons they have in Miami, but the Bills are building, and the Jets. The Patriots will be the worst team because on paper they are. They're ahead of the Jets because the Jets don't have a quarterback. And the Jets just find ways to lose games because they are the Jets. Let's pivot to the NHL. We're going to bounce around today. Me and Shamus are going to talk some basketball as well later in the show. I want to talk about the Leaf game a little bit here, Monday night. And just where they're going and what's happened. Toronto and the Islanders. My biggest takeaway from that game, and the Leafs are 20 games into this season. It's not, it's small sample size. You are a quarter of the way in. Every team is. It's American Thanksgiving. This is a litmus test. The Maple Leafs are a average team this season because every team is pretty average. They're right in the mix for second in the conference, one of the best teams in the Metro. If they're in the Metro, they'd be one of the top spots. The Rangers have 24 points, play 20 games. The Islanders have 24 points. They play 20 games. The Leafs have 25 points. Because they lose so many damn overtime games, they have one more point. Here's 20 games in, big picture. They are a below average 5-on-5 team. They are 23rd in the National Hockey League in 5-on-5 goals. 23rd. Austin Matthews has 3 5-on-5 goals. Austin Matthews has 9 goals in 20 games. It's really good. It's really, really good for any player around the league. But it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like a great 9 goals. I haven't seen second best player in the world Austin all year. All year I haven't. And I'm not just hard on Leaf players. I call it down the middle. I call it like I see it. When you're not what you expect to be, I'm going to say it. He's been mid-pack. Could I name 10 players that have been better than Austin Matthews this year? Yeah, I could. Want me to do it? Okay, Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar, McKinnon, Jason Robertson, Pasternak, Bergeron, Shea Theodore, Linus Ullmark. 2 more, as I think here. Kucherov, Stamkos. There's 10. All been better than Austin. I didn't even name Tavares or Nylander, his teammates. They've been better than him. He hasn't been a top 10 player. Top 15, maybe. But he's not having the same impact. He's not doing the same things. And that used to be his calling card. He was the dominant 5-on-5 player. Tavares was the stat padding power play guy. He got his cookies on the power play. Now Matthews is dependent on the power play because 5-on-5 he's not producing. He's not creating, he's not doing as much, he's not in the forecheck. And I just don't see him being as aggressive. Maybe it's an injury. I don't know. But what I can say is he's not on an injury report. He's not missing games, so he doesn't get an injury excuse. If you don't say you're not hurt, I'm not going to be the one to say, okay, well, he's hurt. No. Suck it up. As I look at this situation, the best thing that I can look at is I think the Maple Leafs defensive structure is improving. And I think Sheldon Keefe as a coach deserves credit for the way the Leafs are playing defensively. Their defense core is porous. They were without Matt Murray and Samsonov for a decent chunk. And I think he's got their system starting to play better. He's eliminated the thought of doing the stretch pass for every line because that did not work. They would get guys at the opposing blue line and they try to shoot up the puck. Guess what? Your defense core is not good enough to do that, and your wingers aren't good enough to do that either because your bottom 2 lines don't have a whole lot of skill. But I like what he was doing. I liked his third line when he had Aston Reese, he had Dennis Malgin, and he had David Kampf. Past couple games, that line's given up a couple goals. I will say Monday night's a tough one. On the Dobson goal, it goes in off a defenseman. That's not exactly the line's fault. It was a nothing play. But then I hear yesterday that Nick Robertson is coming back into the lineup. I tell you, I'm happy for Nick Robertson. The kid has gotten more hype than he doesn't deserve any of the hype. He doesn't deserve to have a question asked about him because he's done nothing in the NHL. That's not harsh. It's the truth. I've never heard somebody talked about so much for doing nothing. Nothing. I don't understand the fascination, the fixation on Nick Robertson. He's a small little forward that doesn't produce much, and his defensive game is shit. This move makes the least amount of sense for me. Okay, he's going to play in the top 6 instead of Kerfoot. Okay. Fine. I've seen him play top 6 minutes already. He's not a top 6 forward. And Kerfoot isn't either. I'm not saying that. But that's your fault as an organization for not having anybody else that can play in that role. You plug him in, and this feels like Keefe responding to media asking him every day, saying, they're forcing him to play. The media has a love fest for Nick Robertson. I don't know if he's from Ontario. I mean, every media guy there's a Leaf fan, so they love every player because they're not journalists. They're just Leaf fans parading as that, and that happens at every team around the league. I'm not naive to that, people. There are plenty of Boston beat writers. The NESN broadcast is the worst in the NHL. So I'm not picking and choosing here. This is just how I see it. That's how I always talk about this. So he gets in. Good for him. Hope he does something tonight. He's had one game in his career where he's done anything worthwhile. Have fun at the Prudential Center tonight. Keep up with the pace. But I think their 5-on-5 defensive play was fine. Defensively, they were good. They need to find ways to generate offensively and finish, quite frankly. Come on, score a goal 5-on-5. Now, in 20 games, the Maple Leafs have lost 5 games in overtime. I do not know how this is possible. Well, I do know they turned the puck over a ton. But how does a team with Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Morgan Reilly, how did they lose 5 times in overtime? To the Devils, to Los Angeles, to Anaheim, 2 teams they should beat, 2 teams that they have more skill than, that the bigger ice should favor, yet they lose. Well, I've noticed something. Seems like all these overtimes, Toronto loses the draw to start overtime. You know who starts overtime all the time? It's Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews is a great faceoff guy. He is one of the best in the NHL. But you get to overtime, the big moments, he loses that draw and they lose puck possession. It's kind of like his playoff play. Pretty average to bad. Win a draw. Start with the puck. Let's try with that. Start with that. Start with the puck. I don't know. Just a thought. Win a draw, Matthews. Show that you can be a clutch player in big moments. No? Not going to do that? Okay. They are a team that has an identity. But that identity, the new identity is fighting against the skill that they have on this team. It's a paradox of thinking because you have so much skill, and then you got Keefe saying, hey guys, if we play like we did last year going into the playoffs, if we play like we did the last 5 years going into the playoffs, you know what's going to happen? We're going to lose again. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get fired. Embracing change is tough. They are doing it slowly. But at the same time, they need to find a way to score goals because guess what? You can't lose these close games. You can't throw away a point to the Islanders. You can't throw away a point to the Anaheim Ducks. Monday night, they have control. They're playing very well against the Islanders. Erik Källgren throws the puck away. They don't have any defenseman. I don't know what he's doing. He's panicking. Brutal play. Right on the stick. Puts it home. 2-2. Then in overtime, Anthony Beauvillier goes shelf over Källgren. And before you know it, it's 3-2. They lose to a team that will grind you to death, the New York Islanders. They find ways to make it tough on you. Getting 1 point is great. It is. But essentially, through 20 games, the Maple Leafs are 500. Yeah, it's 5 overtime losses, and it looks better, and you get a point. But you lost. You lost that game. Period. When you're in a tournament and you lost in overtime, was that a win? No. You win or lose a game. I used to have ties when I played minor hockey. No ties here. But that's not a win. Okay, you get 1 point. You look at it as successful. No. Enough. That's a loser's race. It's a loser's comment. Through the game, you lose it, and you also lose Morgan Reilly 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL injury. Morgan had been playing 25 to 26 minutes a night. And this leaves the Toronto Maple Leafs defense corps without Morgan Reilly, without Jake Muzzin, without TJ Brody for at least the next week. meaning that's $18 million that's currently not being used on the Maple Leafs defense corps. Leaving them with Justin Hall, Giordano, Sandin, Liljegren, Jordy Ben, and Mac Hallwell called up from the Marlies, who will make his NHL debut tonight. And if you're not familiar with the player, he's 5'9", 170 pounds. Just what the doctor ordered for Kyle Dubas. They did trade for Connor Timmins today from the Arizona Coyotes. People probably saw that come up on their screen thinking it was going to be Jacob Chychrun. Nope, it's Connor Timmins for a depth forward. He's a depth defenseman. They just need a body right now, and he can fill it. This defense core is bad before. This next 20 games, we went through 20 games. The next 20 games are likely going to be without Morgan Reilly. 15 for sure. I don't think he plays till at least the 40 game mark. He's out till after Christmas, guaranteed. Here's how I see this. We are going to know a lot about Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren by the time Morgan Reilly returns. Because even when TJ Brody is back, and he'll be back sooner rather than later, these guys are going to get a significantly bigger role, and we will know if they can handle it. Can you play 20 minutes a night? Just because you're on the ice 20 minutes doesn't mean you can play 20 minutes a night. If you struggle for that whole time, if you're pinned behind your ears, if you don't know what the hell's going on, you can't do it. What I know currently is I think Timothy Liljegren has less points than Sandin, but he's looked a hell of a lot better. He's jumping up into the play. He looks confident. And I think he's playing at a fairly high level right now for what I expect from him. I like Timothy Liljegren. I think he's bringing more to the table. Rasmus Sandin was labeled as going to be an elite puck-moving defenseman. He's elite at nothing but turning over the puck. And his role has morphed into defending Austin Matthews after taking a clean legal hit, having to drop the gloves. Which is another thing in the NHL that's asinine, that you have to fight after delivering a clean hit, but that's another story for another day. These two guys are under the limelight. These two guys are going to have some pressure to deliver because there isn't a solution. Hall and Giordano are the other option. Do you feel comfortable with that? Jordy Ben, Mac Hallwell, Connor Timmins. Somebody has to be on the ice at all times. Can these two guys handle it? After this stretch, I think Kyle Dubas will be very clear. He'll be set in what he's got to do. He'll look at the situation and say, I need to upgrade my defense in a major way. I need to trade something. Hopefully the Nick Robertson addition can help my team. Good luck. And I need to move heaven and earth because we're not going to win a Stanley Cup with this defense core, says everybody but Leafs management. Maybe they'll play great. It is a possibility. I haven't seen it consistently, but maybe they go back to that well and they have some success. But why is Sandin fighting defending Austin Matthews on a clean hit? A clean hit that Austin Matthews was not prepared for. You don't have to drop the gloves. That wasn't old school hockey where it was a clean hit and then you had to fight. I don't understand this. Keep your head up, Austin. Then next time you won't get hit. Good for Sandin for sticking up for a teammate. I feel like he has the thought that he has to do this because he's been so terrible on the ice and he's better spent with that 5 minutes in the penalty box than he is on the ice, which probably not wrong in that opinion. But that's not his role. That's not something you want. And I don't think Austin Matthews wants to have the perception that a little small defenseman is the one coming to defend his honor. Anyway, Leafs have the Devils tonight. Devils have won 13 in a row. They're 8-0 this season against Canadian NHL teams. I thought New Jersey would lose over the weekend. They spanked Ottawa. Then they defeated the Oilers Monday night at the Prudential Center. Tonight's game should be interesting. Vitek Vanacek will get another start. He's got one regulation loss on the season. Matt Murray is back between the pipes for Toronto Maple Leafs. These two teams played a very close game last week. Another game that went to overtime. I expect another tight affair tonight. For the Leafs, 5-on-5, the biggest problem they had last week, and they were lucky to get a point. Can you play 5-on-5 hockey with the New Jersey Devils speed? Can you deal with it? Because I look at Nico Hischier, his skating's better, his vision's better. He looks like a whole new player. He looks like a reinvigorated guy that came into training camp in great shape and looked around and said, holy shit, I got a team with me. I don't have to be the saving grace. I was the first overall pick, but that's so in the review mirror. He's got 22 points in 18 games. It's a point per game pace. That's awesome. Jack Hughes is playing great. I got a great defense core. Dawson Mercer's producing. Every line is producing on this team. And we're so damn fast. Teams, the Edmonton Oilers, with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and a bunch of other really fast guys, couldn't deal with the New Jersey Devils. They couldn't. Also, New Jersey's power play is lethal. Toronto's power play is 5th in the NHL. New Jersey's also in the top 10. So both teams stay out of the penalty box tonight. I'm going to predict tonight the Maple Leafs beat the Devils. It's a rematch a week later. The defense core for Toronto is depleted. The narrative is they're down and out. They'll win the game. New Jersey's won 13 in a row. You eventually lose a game. Although, tell that to Boston. But I'm gonna roll with the Leafs tonight. I believe they are a betting underdog, so I might even put that down on FanDuel Sportsbook. Might look at a little hockey parlay tonight, hockey underdog parlay. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's something I'm looking into this evening. Quickly on the Oilers, who are in Long Island tonight after falling to this said Devils on Monday. Edmonton does not have an identity, and they do not have any kind of offense minus McDavid and Draisaitl. And this has been the case for some time, but it's so apparent right now. They are getting no help. Dylan Holloway is not producing. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is not scoring unless it's on the power play. Bottom of that lineup is a bunch of gritty forwards that aren't bringing anything to the table. They miss Evander Kane dearly. Matthias Janmark being called up. He's not producing after getting another crack at the NHL level. Klim Kostin is not producing offense, not being in good positions. It's Darnell Nurse, it's Draisaitl, and it's McDavid. That's all they have. And that's been the problem with their team for a long time. Stuart Skinner isn't playing that bad. But this team's got bad luck right now and bad results. Evander Kane gets hurt. He's out for a long time. I mentioned they should try to acquire a player now, keep on long-term IR the rest of the season. Jack Campbell can't make a save. The dude's lost all confidence. He's apologizing for his play every game. He's a backup goalie for the third straight game Monday night at the Prudential Center. He then takes a puck to the face sitting on the bench, broke his nose, and he's recovering. So he takes a stray, not even in the game. He can't make a save when he's in the net. It's all going poorly for, did I say Matt Murray? I meant Jack Campbell. A little Freudian slip there. A couple Sault Ste. Marie goaltenders cutting it up. But Jack Campbell takes a straight, so now he's banged up. He's got a broken nose. They can't win a game. They got no structure. Brett Kulak's a disaster. Evan Bouchard is making bad defensive plays. Who could have predicted that? For this Oilers team, to me, it's getting back to basics. And I would... Puljujärvi was a guy that shouldn't have been brought back in the first place, and he brings nothing to the table. He's a frustrating player to watch. He's a big body. He could be physical. He's got a lot of pure Engvall in him, where Engvall is a big tree, and he's out in the ice for the Leafs, and you know he could be a physical player. You know he has more potential. He has more to give than what he's currently offering. Puljujarvi's the same thing. Get to the front of the net, be hard in the forecheck, penalty kill, be just a really a multi-tool player, and yet he brings nothing of value. He's a frustrating player because you want more, you see it, but he can't seem to find it. So for me, I watch him and I'm like, what is happening with you? What are you hoping to accomplish on that play? Puljujarvi, I'd healthy scratch him, quite frankly, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers, because for Jay Woodcroft, he doesn't do anything. And if I'm Jay Woodcroft, I'm looking at Raymond. Sorry, apologize for forgetting his name right now. The general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, former Detroit Red Wings, Kevin Holland. There we go. Knew it would come into my head eventually. Why Ken Holland? Kevin Holland's a UFC fighter. Ken Holland, I didn't want this guy at the end of last season. I hardly played him. Why is he back? Give me somebody else. We need somebody new in here. We need a fresh voice. We need somebody on our bottom six lines that gives a good, solid production night in, night out. At least gives us good shifts. Gives us a good shift. Could you give us somebody in that nature? If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I mentioned they got McDavid. They got Evander Kane's salary. That's free. What if you called up the Philadelphia Flyers and made a call on a few guys? What if you inquired about Zach McEwen, who's got a 1-year deal at $900,000, who's played really well this year for Philadelphia, I might add? I'd inquire about Zach McEwen. I'd inquire about Scott Laughton, who's the only player on Philadelphia that wears a letter because Torts loves him so much. But what's the asking price for him? Philly's not a great team. They're losing a lot of games. They're not going to make the playoffs. Why not trade away those guys you're going to trade anyway now? Just start calling these teams that might have guys. Oilers maybe calling Eric Robinson. Here's a guy you don't hear about all the time in Columbus. He's a speed guy. He averages some of the most breakaways per season the last 2 years in the National Hockey League. He's all around the puck. Doesn't have great hands, but at least he brings something different to the table. I would trade Puljujarvi for Laughton or McEwen straight up. I'm telling you, because McEwen, he will fight, he will score. He's been productive offensively this year. He's been a really useful guy for the Philadelphia Flyers. He didn't make the team out of camp. He was cut in training camp, and every team had the chance to pick him up on waivers. He went through. They got an injury the second game of the season. He was called up. He scored in his first game. I believe he's got 4 goals ready. He had a pair of assists Saturday night against the Montreal Canadiens. And you watch him play, he's on the penalty kill. He's great on the forecheck. He's tenacious around the puck. Oilers could have had him for free. Those ones that sting. You don't make a claim and you see a guy go back and have all kinds of success. Inquire and see what kind of offers, what's the asking price for these type of players right now. Because you're not winning games. And you're not that close to winning games because you're not playing good hockey. Do something about it. Be proactive, not reactive. Boston. Boston is 17-2 after 19 games. I thought Boston would be a playoff team, but I thought they'd be a wild card team, and nobody thought they'd be this good. No Boston Bruin fan that has any kind of sense thought they'd be 17-2. 2 losses in 19 games. I watched the Boston-Tampa game on Monday night. And what impressed me the most about the Boston Bruins was how they didn't let a game just go. The first 10 minutes of that game Monday night, Tampa Bay owned the Boston Bruins. Tampa Bay came out and they had the first 12 shots of the game. Linus Ullmark made some massive saves. They did allow a goal. Tampa was on the board first, 1-0. Big Nick Paul. And they're on the forecheck. I thought their defense, they played 7 defense. They all looked pretty confident. They were in control. Boston looked like, we're down in Florida. We're out of the cold weather. Let's enjoy it. Let's have a couple pops on Sunday afternoon watching football. And we're a little sluggish. No. Back half of the first period, they scored 2 goals. One really bad one on Vasilevsky, and they scored a late one. So 2-1 Boston leads after the first period. In the first 10 to 11 minutes of this period, they were a no-show. After that point, they were by far the better team, and a lot of teams would have just let that night go. They would have been down 3-0, maybe get a goal, give up an empty netter. You lose 4-1, it's 1 of 82. Not the Boston Bruins. This team is dangerous because they have a team full of guys that just have so much pride and will play so hard night in, night out, and they're having just incredible finds, incredible success across the board. And it culminates in Monday night, Patrice Bergeron getting a secondary assist on Brad Marchand's goal to put Boston up 4-1. And it was Patrice Bergeron's 1,000th career point in game number 1253. The entire Bruins bench cleared. They went in the corner, and they all celebrated with Patrice. Patrice Bergeron was not a well-known guy. He was not seen as a generational talent, and he's not a generational talent. Patrice Bergeron plays hockey the way he wants to play hockey. But I look at the guy and what he's accomplished in Boston and just in the NHL in general. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I truly think he's one of the best captains, just leaders, because he won't be captain that long because Chara was right before him. He's one of the best leaders in league history. And I'll put it this way. I think this Bruins core of Chara, Marchand, Bergeron, I'm going to throw Pastrnak in there, are one of the most impressive group of 5 guys in league history when it comes to leadership and actually building a culture. Culture is a word that's thrown around too often. It just is. Los Angeles was a really good team, but did they have a culture? Not really. They were run and gun. Kopitar was a serious guy, but they had Drew Doughty. They had Daryl Sutter, yes, but that team was also fun-loving. They're also a really fun team to watch. They won 2 cups, but I don't think it was because they had a culture. Sid in Pittsburgh, I don't see a culture there. I see Sidney Crosby, an elite player, another future Hall of Famer. Evgeny Malkin, Letang. Yes, you have a group of 3 there that are all intertwined, but not the same as this Boston group, because this Boston group is in lockstep with one another in nearly every decision that they make. It's just, yep, we're doing this. Mitchell Miller signing. We hate it. We're all against it. We're all leaders here. And I'm not afraid to speak up against management because guess what? I'm a man and I don't give a shit. They have been so successful. They are always in the mix. They play consistently well year after year. And it seems they all get older, yet you don't know. They still find ways to be impactful night in, night out. I mean, every night you think, okay, this is the night they lose. They're 17-2. 17-2. In their first 19, they played their 20th game of the season tonight, just before American Thanksgiving. They are in Florida. Boston has great leaders. They got a great culture. And on the ice, I mentioned they weathered the storm, but the way they attack off the rush with their skating keeps them in every game. You might get a goal or 2, but then they get the puck, they get confident, they start moving up those wings, and they have so many options this season. Jake DeBrusk, my guy who I've been pounding against the wall because I think he's got way more potential. I said he's going to have a breakout year, and he's proven me right, so thank you, Jake. He's playing phenomenal. He's playing like he's got something to prove. He's playing In every game, he's playing with Bergeron, he's playing with Marchand, Pasternak's on the second line. It doesn't matter. He's having success. He's in every game. He's in the fight. He's engaged. Charlie Coyle is scoring goals. He's impactful. Pasternak's got 12 goals on the season. That's 5th in the NHL. And I look at just simple, brass tack stuff. They got one of the best goaltenders after 20 games. It's hard to say Linus Ullmark has not been the best goalie in the NHL after 20 games. Just look at the record. Look what he's done. Look at his numbers. He is right there with anybody. Vanacek in New Jersey, but he's played less games. Jeremy Swayman was out for a long period of time. He may return tonight in Florida. But Linus Ullmark, who is a platoon goaltender, has been a number one and looked like that in a 19-game span. And I don't think it's without a doubt anymore, Charlie McAvoy is a top 10 defenseman in the NHL. Charlie McAvoy, I would take on my team every day of the week. I love the way he plays. He does so many things right. He will not always pop up on the stat sheet. I don't care. I look at a McAvoy, I look at a Slavin. Those guys are so invaluable because of what they bring on a night-in, night-out basis in just keeping the game simple, keeping you in it in all those games that you have an opportunity to win. Slavin's got 1 goal in the season for the Canes. But he's so great at the simple plays, at getting the puck out of the zone, blocking a shot, being in the right position. McAvoy, same way. He will be physical with your best players when they go into the corner. He will block a shot. He'll move the puck out of the zone quick, and he'll play 24 minutes a night, and you hardly notice. Those are the invaluable members of a team that you can't pay enough money. With all this being said, I didn't mind Tampa's game. Vasilevsky let up 2 horrible goals. I thought Tampa played with good pace. Nick Paul looks absolutely fantastic this year after re-signing in Tampa. He's got 8 goals already. It's 1 less than Austin Matthews. Just fun fact. He's skating well. He's picked up where he left off in the playoffs where he played really good hockey, Mr. Game 7. Philip Myers is settling in there in Tampa Bay. They miss Anthony Cirelli, definitely. That's noticeable on the team that Cirelli is not there because he's only gotten better and better over the last number of years. But Tampa didn't play that bad, but Boston is just such a difficult out right now. Florida, after 20 games, has been really inconsistent. Their goaltending stinks. Matthew Tkachuk's been the one bright spot. He got suspended for 2 games, but he's been a phenomenal find for them. He's been better than Huberdeau and Weegar combined, I would say, what they've done in Calgary. Although Calgary's starting to put some wins together. But tonight, you got Calgary's in Pittsburgh playing the Pens. You got Edmonton's in Long Island playing the Islanders. Boston's playing the Panthers. There's a lot of games tonight. Winnipeg's in Minnesota, fresh off beating Carolina on Monday night in overtime. Colorado's in Vancouver. Colorado and Dallas met on Monday night, and that was a phenomenal game. Went to the gimmick, so I couldn't finish it. But these 2 teams were evenly matched, I will say. No Landeskog, so that definitely hurts Colorado. But Dallas continues to play really good hockey. Jake Ottinger is phenomenal in that start. Jason Robertson added 2 goals for the Stars. He's got 13 on the season. That's good for 3rd in the NHL. He's also got points in 18 of 21 games this season. Pretty damn consistent for Jason Robertson. But I look at those 2 teams. Georgiev's been really good for Colorado in the net. Cale Makar became the fastest defenseman ever to get to 200 points. Heiskanen's great. Makar is great on the back end in Colorado. Mikko Rantanen and McKinnon have been lethal for Colorado. They've been winning them a lot of games. Evan Rodriguez has been a good fit. Alex Newhook is starting to put pucks in the back of net the last little while. Those two teams in the Central could be on a collision course. But the Central's starting to become more interesting because Colorado's winning games. Dallas continues to win games. Winnipeg continues to find a way to win games. They don't lose 2 in a row. It seems they always win the next one. St. Louis has won 6 in a row suddenly. They had their skid, but they've won 6 in a row and they have momentum. And they believe right now. You're trying to chase people to get back into the mix. Team struggling. Nashville's struggling. Nashville is not finding it. Yusei Saros had a really bad start to the season. Roman Josi hasn't been a huge part of the team. And I just look at them. They don't play with any sort of structure in Nashville. Watch some of their game Monday night. They're struggling. Of course, Arizona's struggling. A few teams in the Central aren't what we thought they would be. Minnesota's struggling other than Kaprizov and Zuccarello. But they got no goaltending right now. Phil Gustafson's their number one goaltender, and he's hardly an NHL goaltender, let alone a number one. It's going to be very difficult for them to win games. But, I mean, the NHL's an interesting landmine right now because there are some really, really good, really, really big explosions, and there's some teams that are really on the periphery. As we hit the 20-game mark, I would say for the Canadian teams, Toronto, you're in a good spot. I would panic a little bit about Matthews. It's 20 games. It's not 4. I'd worry a bit about him. And I'd worry about your defense core. And also say if you hear any pundit, if you hear any insider say that they should trade for a forward and not a defenseman, turn off the fucking TV. But Toronto, you're fine. You're in the Atlantic Division strong, but maybe not that strong. Montreal's been a good story. Cole Caulfield and Suzuki, they got a 1-2 punch. That's what I can say. They don't have a number. Jake Allen's a very good stopgap. He's not a number one goaltender of the future. And you got some deficiencies on that team. Your defense core still isn't great. It's very young. They got shelled last night by the Sabres, who had lost 8 in a row but get a win. Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner both had 5 points in the Bell Center last night. Most nights you're playing competitive hockey and you fight. Last night was an off game. You weren't in the game. Buffalo took it to you. I would say after 20 games, Montreal should be pretty pleased with what they've done. They aren't a great team. They don't always play to your level, but Saturday night they battled against Philly. They got it 2 points. Caulfield, Suzuki have been really great stories. Anderson's been pretty good. So they've had some positivity on the Montreal Canadiens. Arbor Zerbax played well. So there's some good stories here. Ottawa's a straight disaster. Ottawa lost 5-1 on Monday to the San Jose Sharks, who stink. Ottawa, yes, they're missing Josh Norris. I get it. And Shabbat's been out with a concussion. But you're playing in San Jose. San Jose, I don't care. Their team is not good. They're not a playoff team. Erik Karlsson's getting points. Great. San Jose's happy so that they can try to flip them. So a team's dumb enough to take on the last 4 years of that salary, of that contract. For Ottawa, I think DJ Smith, the more you lose, the more he's on the hot seat. I get Pierre Dorian's giving him a vote of confidence, and there's no real ownership group there, so this is really on Pierre Dorian. Pierre Dorian's running the Ottawa Senators right now. Ryan Reynolds doesn't own the team. Melnick's kids do, but they hired a private firm to try to find some buyers. Until there's a new owner, Dorian's got carte blanche to whatever the hell he wants. And if he loves DJ Smith, maybe he'll keep him. And maybe that'll say DJ Smith that there isn't stable ownership there so that he won't have permission, if you will, to bring on a new coach and give him a new salary. But I'm not surprised Ottawa is in this position. I thought they'd be better, but I didn't think they'd be this bad, but I didn't buy a playoff team. I like their offseason. They are scoring goals, but defensively they're still a train wreck. They didn't address it. I'm not that surprised. Edmonton, I've talked about. They need to get it together. I'd make some changes up front when it comes to trades. Calgary, they're starting to put it together. It was only a matter of time before Markstrom figured out how to play how to play the position of goaltender. Huberdeau scored a goal Monday night. That's a positive sign for him. I think they're starting to find their lineup a little bit. Elias Lindholm is still the catalyst. He's still the best player on the team. He starts playing really well. The team starts playing really well. So there's no surprise there from me. You know what I think about the guy. Rasmus Andersson's been very good on the back end for them. Zadorov is chipping in. Also helps that Connor Mackey's no longer playing. So I think Calgary's in a good spot right now. They need to keep finding ways to put wins on the board. But they got Pittsburgh tonight. They got the Capitals on Friday, who are reeling. You got to take advantage of teams when you play them. I think Pittsburgh's banged up. They're not real confident. Beat Pittsburgh tonight. Washington in an afternoon game on Friday. They have so many injuries. They feel lost to me. Beat the hell out of them. Then I believe they also play a Saturday afternoon game, which should be a bit tougher for Calgary in that spot. But again, see what you can do on a back-to-back. Find a way over the next 3 to 4 days to get at least 4 or 6 points in a perfect world for Calgary. You head back home. You'll take that every day of the week. Winnipeg, really good early season story. Scheifele's been great. Pierre-Luc Dubois has been great. Morrissey, Pionk have been really good. Hellebuck is playing Vezina-level goaltender for Winnipeg. I think Cole Perfetti's fit in. He looks like an NHL player. I give him that. I think he's been a really consistent guy for them. What else? I mean, they're getting depth scoring. Adam Lowry. And their defense core is good. The defense core is good. It's starting to gel. It didn't last year. It was a whole lot of new players coming in. It seems to be working. I like the Winnipeg team. They gave a 3-0 lead to Carolina late in the game on Monday night. But to their credit, they rallied. They scored an OT winner to get the win. The bubble might burst because the West is tough, in particular in that Central Division. I think St. Louis is still better than Winnipeg. Colorado is better than Winnipeg. Dallas is the outlier because Dallas gets so much production from that top line that it can be deceiving how good of a team they are. Can J-Rob, can Pavelski, can Rupe Hintz keep this up for a long period of time? I think they can do it long enough to get a wild card spot. I expect Winnipeg to be in the wild card hunt. In the 40-game mark, I don't think Winnipeg would be sitting on top of the Central Division. I think they'll be behind Colorado. I think they'll be behind Dallas for sure, and they even could be behind St. Louis because I expect St. Louis to continue to play consistently productive, good hockey. And that leaves us with Vancouver, who dropped a 5-4 decision to the Vegas Golden Knights on Monday night. Vancouver beat LA Friday night, and it was their best game of the year. I agreed with Bruce Boudreau. But you win one game. That does not mean that you're smooth sailing, that everything's going to go well. If you haven't seen it, LA is struggling right now. Had a 3-1 lead last night. They coughed it up to the Rangers. The Rangers won 5-3 as they go through a Western road swing. There's not a whole lot of confidence in Vancouver at any position, quite frankly. Defensively, it's always a mess. Bo Horvat's second in the NHL in goals. He's scoring at 15 goals, if you can believe it. Pettersson's been pretty good, but they're not getting consistent saves. Their defense core is a mess. And just structurally, this team isn't built well. The bottom end of their lineup isn't scoring. You play well, but you still lose 5-4. You can't lose 5-4. You get 4 goals against Vegas, you need to find a way to win that game. Vancouver's in action tonight, I believe. They definitely are. They're in action tonight. Almost every team in the NHL is playing tonight because, like I said, there's only 2 games last evening. The Rangers are playing on a back-to-back tonight in San Jose. But there's a lot. Vancouver is in action tonight. They might play again. I'm forgetting now. Oh, they got Colorado tonight. So Vancouver has Colorado tonight. We'll see what comes of that game. Tough matchup for Vancouver. But, for them, find a way to win some of these tough games. Find a way to be in it. And Bruce Boudreau continues to remain the head coach. I think he will for some time because they don't want to pay another coach. That's really the main reason, is you don't want to pay a coach all kinds of money when you can just play Bruce Boudreau to lose. That's the goal, is just lose games. And that Bruce Boudreau has been doing that, so why pay another guy to do it? So for Vancouver, you want to be picking in the lottery. That's your best bet, is to be a lottery team and see what you can do. That's how I look at things. Canada's teams, Toronto's in good shape. I think Calgary's rounding into form. Winnipeg's in good shape. I do like their team, and Hellebuck is an X factor. He can keep them in it the whole season. Ottawa's a train wreck. Montreal's better than I thought they would be, although I had more faith than most people. What else? Vancouver, disaster. Keep losing games. Keep Brucey on to lose. But Toronto, Calgary, and Winnipeg are the three best Canadian teams right now, and the three playing consistently well. Winnipeg and Toronto are above Calgary, but Calgary's rounding into form. Edmonton should be better. They got problems. They need to address them. Simple as that. Simple as that. So we'll see. We'll see what transpires moving forward here with regards to the National Hockey League and these teams. Tomorrow on the podcast, I will recap a number of these games. I want to talk about them. There's so many games tonight where we'll talk about that. In the first hour of the show yesterday, I'll be talking NHL. Then Matt Wright will join. We will get into all the NFL shenanigans, the betting lines, things of that nature. So that's the plan. That's the plan for tomorrow's show. But before Shamus joins, he'll be on the next 15 to 20 minutes. Let's talk NFL turkey games. Turkey slate of games. But actually, before I say that, update on the World Cup. Belgium currently has a 1-0 lead. It's in the 82nd minute. So Canada is down 1-0 to Belgium. Quite frankly, that's a good score. But we have seen upsets. We have seen good things happen. The United States, Wales tied it up against the United States late. I mentioned Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. We saw Germany lose this morning to Japan in a stunner. We've also seen just clobbering. Spain won this afternoon 7-0. Just domination homes from Spain. But Canada is in it late, only down 1-0. Best thing I can say about that for Canada, they're in the 85th minute. Keep the score low. Keep those scores low. Croatia and Morocco tied this morning. Those two teams are also in Canada's group. Canada plays Sunday against Croatia. So if you fall today to the best team only 1-0, that's a positive sign. Then you have two lower caliber teams to finish your World Cup main draw. Maybe you can find a way to squeak out a win against Croatia. If you get a draw against Croatia, that's 2 draws. Then you beat Morocco. That's the play right now. It really, if Canada can beat Morocco beat Croatia on Sunday, they are going to advance. I firmly believe that, because Morocco would have tied Croatia. I think they'll lose to Belgium. Canada beats Croatia in that last game. They are moving on. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Today's draw between Morocco and Croatia is a good result for Team Canada. And I will say I've been watching the World Cup every morning before I go to work. It starts about 5:45. I throw the game on. I watch the first half. Then I head over to work. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy following it. People are so into it over there. I wish it wasn't in Qatar, because it's just a horrible country when it comes to a lot of different things. But the soccer's been good. I enjoy it. Once every 4 years, you get into the World Cup, and I appreciate it. So that's just a Team Canada update. Is they are in the 85th minute. There will be extra time, of course, but they're right there, Team Canada with Belgium. So we'll see what happens here down the stretch, but Currently, it is 1-0 Belgium in the 86th minute. Now to the Turkey games. Tomorrow afternoon, we got 3 football games, and oddly enough, they're all really intriguing games in my opinion. 1:30 on CBS, the Buffalo Bills play the Detroit Lions. 5:30 on Fox, the New York Giants play the Dallas Cowboys. And at 9, it is the New England Patriots visiting the Minnesota Vikings. Let's start with Buffalo-Detroit. Buffalo will play in Detroit for their second straight game, although this game is a road game. Buffalo heads in as a 10-point favorite against the Lions. Buffalo covered the number last weekend against Cleveland, but it came down to the wire. Buffalo, I saw signs in that game that Buffalo's really starting to turn the corner. Their offense looked really efficient. They played well in certain moments. They started to run the football. Josh Allen made some big throws. That was in the second half. The first half was a disaster. The big thing for the Bills is that their run defense was phenomenal. Nick Chubb ran the ball 14 times, only had 17 yards. So Buffalo's defense certainly came to play. Detroit, DeAndre Swift has not played much in the last number of weeks. They're just not using him in the run game. He's still beat up. Jamal Williams has 12 rushing touchdowns. That's first in the NFL. He's been used a lot. They've been using Justin Jackson, a running back out of Northwestern, as well as running backs in their rotation. I look at this. Buffalo stopped the run last week with Matt Milano and some of the Tremaine Edmonds back at linebacker. It's something that they really enjoy doing because then their secondary is not as good as it used to be because Poyer's back, but they don't have Micah Hyde, but Tre'Davious White is back in that corner. Kyer Elam's been a pretty good rookie out of the University of Florida. So they have guys in the secondary, but stopping the run is key. Detroit is a good offense. Detroit has weapons. They got Josh Reynolds. They got rid of TJ Hawkinson, but Wright, the backup tight end, had a productive day last week. I mentioned they got their running backs out of the backfield. They use Khalif Raymond in the slot, who caught a touchdown last week. They got a good offense. To me, 10 points is a lot. Detroit's won 3 games in a row, and they're at home, and they're a 10-point dog. Buffalo week 1, I get it. Yeah, you're a big-time favorite. People are high on you. You're the Super Bowl favorite. Somehow, betting-wise, they're still the Super Bowl favorite, but they're not the best team in the AFC. Kansas City is. They have been since day one. I look at this game, and there's a couple underdog plays I think are smart for Turkey Day. I would look at this Detroit game, and I would tease it. And if you're not familiar with the teaser, here's what it is. So Detroit currently is a 10-point underdog. If you tease this game, you can up the points. So you throw some more money onto it. Detroit becomes a 13-point favorite and not a 10-point favorite. So if you think, well, Buffalo will win by 10 points, add that to a 13-point spread, you give yourself more of a cushion. I do think Buffalo will win this game. Buffalo's a better team than Detroit. Detroit's got some momentum, but Buffalo is just superior. But I think Detroit can score points on this Buffalo defense just because I think they're a very good defense. Buffalo's had to travel a lot lately with the snow and everything. Detroit, I think they're in a good mindset. They're confident. They're coming into this game feeling as good as they possibly can about themselves. I would tease Detroit, get that point total, even to 12.5, 13 points, and take Detroit at plus 13. Give yourself that cushion, a little more help on the bet, and look into taking Detroit. Home dog, I like it. I think they're a better team than, they're 4-6. They're a solid team, Detroit. They just are, to me. They compete in every game. They could have beaten the Vikings in week 2. That game went down to the wire. They blew it then. They were in tight games with the Dolphins. They've been in close games the whole season. They're starting to win them. Take Detroit. I tease it, though. But even if you want to feel frisky, if you're feeling frisky on Thanksgiving, take Detroit plus 10. This is a good underdog bet. Second game, Giants at Cowboys. Thankfully, I did not take the underdog Vikings last weekend because I just knew in my heart that the Dallas Cowboys were a very good team. In this game, Dallas is a 9.5-point favorite at home. It's a lot of points because the Vikings are 7-3 and the Cowboys are 7-3. You think this be a close spread? The way the Cowboys defense played last week, they are going to feast on the New York Giants. Because all Dallas has to do is stop Saquon Barkley, and the Giants are in trouble. The Giants' leading receiver last week was Wan'Dale Robinson, who caught 6 passes for almost 100 yards. Well, here's some news. Wan'Dale Robinson tore his ACL. He's done for the season, so that means their top threat is out. This offense is Saquon Barkley and nothing else. Stop the run early. Get a lead if you're Dak Prescott in this Dallas offense, which played his best game of the season last week. The Giants' defense is good, not great. They can get to the quarterback. They're not that great in pass protection. They blitz the hell out of the football because that's what Wink Martindale does. But I look at this and I think I like Dallas a lot. I don't bet favorites, but if I was, I would take Dallas minus 9.5 in this game. And I'd love to take the Giants because I like taking underdogs, in particular in division games. But I look at it this way. They played in New York, and Giants played Dallas with Cooper Rush at quarterback, the backup. And the Cowboys won the game, and the Cowboys covered the spread. That was the game for the Giants to win, to split the season series, when the Cowboys are just a superior team. Just point blank. They're just better than the New York Giants in every category. They got a better quarterback. They got better. No, Saquon Barkley's a better running back than what Dallas has. But Dallas is a better offensive line. They got better pass rushers. Dallas will be loud tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving. They play every year on Thanksgiving. It's a big deal in Big D. Dallas minus 9.5 is the pick. 9.5-point favorites. I think they cover that number. And I think, honestly, I think this is an interesting game because I think both teams are 7-3. They both got good records. I think Dallas is going to smoke the New York Giants tomorrow. They just won 40-3. It won't be 40-3 again. But don't be surprised if we see Cooper Rush get some snaps in the fourth quarter. That's just my early prediction on this game because I think Dallas is so much better than the New York Giants. And that bubble, I think, burst for the Giants a little bit last week. You play Detroit. You're only a 3-point favorite. Vegas understood it because they said, you know what? Yeah, Giants aren't that good. They're beat up, and Detroit's pretty good. Detroit ends up winning that game outright. I like Dallas minus 9.5 tomorrow. And the nightcap is the New England Patriots visiting the Minnesota Vikings. And Minnesota is a 2.5-point home favorite. Now, if you are at home, normally, you get 3 points for being a home favorite. The Minnesota Vikings are getting 2.5 points, so that tells you Vegas has no faith in the Vikings winning this game. And I'll also add, this is after New England put up 10 points against the New York Jets, and they had 7 of those points on special teams. Minnesota's coming off a 40-3 home loss to the Dallas Cowboys. This game has so many layers, and this is an interesting nightcap. It might be a horrible game, though, because the Patriots are just ugly to watch. But here's my interest here. I bet against the Patriots last week, and I lost. I took the Jets plus 3.5. I'm still scarred by that pick. I almost took Minnesota. Did not. But New England is doing well against the spread as an underdog. As a favorite. They've beaten the Jets twice. They seem to be winning games when they're the favorite. They don't win a lot of games as a dog this season. They haven't yet, honestly. Minnesota was not favored against the Eagles. They lost. They were not favored against The Cowboys, they lost. They did win against the Bills, so they have won a game. But this is a 9 o'clock start for Kirk Cousins. Now that sounds like hyperbole. Oh, Kirk Cousins in prime time. It's a running joke. It's not. Kirk Cousins is 1-9 in his career on Monday Night Football. 1-9. He has won 3 out of 18 primetime starts in his career. 3 of 18. This is the rule. This is not an aberration. Kirk Cousins is just not a good quarterback. In primetime, he's different. 1 o'clock, Kirk Cousins, he's elite. Christian Darrisaw, the great offensive lineman for Minnesota, has a concussion. He got that on Sunday. He won't be playing. Also, Dallas sacked Kirk Cousins 6 times on Sunday. Now, nobody on that New England Patriots pass rush is Micah Parsons, but Matthew Judon has 14.5 sacks, which is the most sacks by a New England Patriot player through 11 games in the history of their franchise. They've had some good players, by the way, in that franchise. Matthew Judon is elite. Devon Godchaw is really good. They got Guy in the middle who really stuffs the run and can get to the quarterback. Their secondary with Jack Jones and Devin McCourty has played really well. New England's defense is very good. I'll tell you, I've thought about this game a ton. I haven't put the bet in yet. But I know I'm taking Detroit, and I know I'm teasing Detroit tomorrow. That's a given. I know I'm doing it. But I look at this Minnesota game, and Minnesota's a 2.5-point favorite, but I'm taking New England tomorrow night. I'm taking New England plus 2.5. I'm betting on Mac Jones, which is scary because he's been such crap this season. He's done nothing to earn me betting on him. But I look at that pass rush, the banged up O-line for Minnesota, primetime Kirk Cousins just stats. It's proof, it's record. And New England's 6-4, they're still in the mix. Minnesota with this one would be 9-2 in a really good position down the stretch with 3 division games remaining. But I'm going with the road dog. And honestly, if I had to close out the parlay, I'm not taking the middle game as a pick because I guess I don't bet favorites. It's just a rule of mine. I like Detroit, tease it, plus 13. I like New England, plus 2.5. And I'd round out this parlay with college football tomorrow night. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I believe Ole Miss is the favorite. Ole Miss has dropped 2 in a row. They lost a game to Alabama, and then they got smoked by Arkansas. Rivalry game on a Thursday night, fresh off eating some turkey. Mississippi State is 7-4. They're a good team this year. Will Rogers is a good quarterback. And they run a good ship there in Mississippi State. I like Mississippi State plus 4.5 to round out that underdog parlay for the day. So just to repeat, Detroit, if you're feeling frisky and you want to take them straight up plus 10, good on you. I'm not doing that. I'm teasing Detroit plus 13. I like New England plus 2.5 at Minnesota tomorrow night in the nightcap of the Turkey Day games. Then college football, 8 o'clock start tomorrow night. Mississippi State plus 4.5 at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin, there's rumors Lane Kiffin might be leaving Ole Miss. Maybe he goes to Auburn. Talking with them. Maybe he's got one foot out the door. His players know it. Jackson Dart's rattled. Will Rogers throws for a bunch of yards tomorrow night. Mississippi State finishes the season 8-4 alongside Ole Miss, which would be interesting for bowl season. But that's my NFL parlay tomorrow. When it comes to games on Sunday, Matt Wright will be on tomorrow. We will discuss those at great length. We'll get into all of it with lots to chat about with this weekend and in college. Just different. I'm pumped for that conversation tomorrow because there's so much to dive into with college football, with the games this weekend, the betting angles, just the angles of who's going to play in the semifinals and the national championship game. Haven't talked to Ryder in a few weeks, so I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him. And as I'm going through here, breaking news. Belgium did defeat Canada 1-0 in Canada's opening game of the World Cup. But like I said, that's a win for Canada. You lose 1-0 to the best team in your group, a top 10 ranked team in the world, Belgium. You'll take that every day of the week. And Canada is now, it's Belgium in first place, 1 win, obviously. You got Croatia and Morocco with a draw, and then you have Canada in last place currently. Sunday, Canada plays Croatia. That's the biggest game of their tournament. You win that game, you got a really, really good shot of going to the of getting out of the group. There's been upsets in this tournament. You lose 1-0. You got to feel confident about that going into Sunday morning's game. And the great thing about that game Sunday morning is it's on at noon. That's before football starts. Before football starts, you can get in some footy, some soccer. Canada beats Croatia on Sunday. Morocco will likely lose to Belgium. So that means Morocco will be 0-1-1. Belgium be 2-0. Canada 1-1, and Croatia 0-1-1. Canada takes care of business against Morocco, gets a win. You're in good shape. Even if you draw against Morocco, Canada will be 1-1-1. Croatia loses to Belgium, which I think they will. They'll be 0-2-1. Canada advances. They're the only other team in that group with a win other than Belgium. So I think today's was a win for Canada at the World Cup, quite frankly. Only a 1-0 loss. You get a draw in the other Morocco and Croatia game. Canada, Croatia, Sunday at noon. Put it on before American football. That sounds like a pretty good Sunday. Speaking of football, I know a guy who likes himself some football from across the pond. Got a snazzy tie. Got the dash still going. He's a corporate man now, ladies and gentlemen. He's left us. He's in a different realm. But Shamus Fillmore's on. Shay, I like the tie. Looking sharp on a Wednesday.
Thanks. Is that too formal? Because it's not necessary to wear one there, but I sometimes throw it on just because. Like it'll be a random day, and I'll say, you know what, today's a tie day. Is that? Am I being a hardo? You can be honest with me.
No, you look good. Like you look corporate.
Oh, but not exactly what I'm going for, but yeah, that's good.
I mean, you're working for a big company, so you dress to impress, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Try to be snazzy, I guess, once in a while. I go full suit probably once a week, where I'm wearing top to bottom,
Right.
tucked in, trying to get my best game. Probably clean shave. I'm not exactly clean shaven for this month, but yeah, it's interesting. I got a comment today. Are you going to shave it off before I have a big dinner tomorrow night with some of the people who were in the CPA audit committee for Irving? And they said, "Oh, you're going to keep it?" And I said, "I don't know." And I said, I'm kind of superstitious because if I shave it off, maybe I won't get the results I want in a couple days. So I think I'll probably keep it through right to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not a superstitious person, but I understand where you're coming from on that. I don't cut the hair just because it's phenomenal, not just not for a superstitious thing. But no,
right.
I'm just kidding. But no, I like the look. What when you go with the suit, what color's the suit? What color the pants? Like what's the role then?
I go blue. I guess black is not the attire. I guess you only wear black to weddings and funerals. So I usually don't go all black with white shirt. I'm going blue or gray, like a light gray.
Okay, I like a light
Usually,
gray. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are kind of I swap in between those two every week. But yeah, I don't see people in tan suits. I think that's
No.
more of
Yeah.
that's out west maybe. You rock a tan suit with a white shirt.
Right.
But yeah, I can't imagine anything other than that.
Is there a
Blue.
person on TV that you like their style that you try to kind of mirror?
Yeah, me and Patrick Laine really go co together. No, I mean I appreciate everyone who gets dialed up. I'm trying to think, trying to think about who set up is the best out of the panel that I watch a lot of sports on.
Right.
I guess Biesca's game is not
I
too
knew you were gonna
bad.
say him.
His game is not too bad. I don't like Freeman's game. I used to, but I think his is not as sharp
He's got way too
anymore.
many colors going on.
Yeah, he needs to dial it back a little bit. I think his wife needs to tell him that if she hasn't already. But
Right.
yeah, just as long as it's not Kirk Cousins setup where I wear my best Sunday barbecuing shirt, then I'm usually pretty good. I'll go for anything else other than that.
Right. Have you been keeping track of the World Cup in the first couple days?
Here and there. Yeah, I check in on the scores. I actually, one of my questions I was going to ask you today was how deeply are you going to follow it here on TTP? So I'm glad to hear when I was coming in that you're talking about Canada's not win, obviously, but their dominant performance I see. So what did you think of the performance and what could they improve on? Obviously, scoring being one of those things.
Yeah, it's such a interesting spot because as Canadians, it's always, well, we expect to do great things. Soccer's, one thing we're still trying to learn, obviously still trying to become great at. Our women are already fantastic. Our men's program has been really bad for
Quite a
the
while.
whole lifetime.
Yeah.
But scoring a goal at this tournament would be a big deal because we've never scored a goal at a World Cup.
Right.
It's a little, but like I said, Morocco and Croatia had a draw today. That's a big deal for Canada because Croatia is better than Canada on paper, but Croatia's better than Morocco on paper. So maybe you draw Croatia or win, then you got Morocco in your last game, who are the weakest opponent that you're going to face.
Right.
If Belgium sweeps everybody, which I think they will, Canada faced the toughest team already. You lose 1-0. That's a good start. I just think finding some success, being a little bit more aggressive I think they played today knowing that they were the inferior team, and they kept it to 1-0. And something I think, Shay, that's important to note about this tournament is if in a draw, if two teams have, say, 2 points with a win, it comes down to goal differential. So let's say Morocco plays Belgium, which they do on Friday. They lose 3-0. You're in a good spot because you only give up a goal, right? So you need to keep your goal differential down, hopefully get some wins. And I think Canada, for their opponent, today was a successful day.
So do we automatically become Belgium fans because we want Belgium to crush the other two teams?
Yeah, I think if you're Canada, your best hope, you don't need to win Friday necessarily, although it would be nice. Mm-hmm. It would be tough. Yeah, because Croatia's got Belgium in a week from Thursday. So Belgium would play Croatia a week from Thursday. They're the two best teams. So if Canada even lost to Croatia and they beat Morocco and they had a better goal differential than Croatia, that they're through, right? So if Morocco could get crushed like Spain did today, they won 7-0 this afternoon. Jesus. I mean, that's tough to do in soccer, but that just, and we've already seen some crazy upsets. I mean, Japan scored 2 goals in 4 minutes against the Germans this morning. Saudi Arabia, who are a plus 450 underdog against Argentina, won that game. My God, if you bet on that one, hallelujah to you. Crazy stuff happens. So you never give up. That's the thing. Never give up in these type of tournaments.
And I'm following it, but I'm not maybe as in tune, or I don't know as much. In order to move past this stage, do you have to be the winner basically of the 4?
You have to be in the top 2.
Oh, okay.
Top
so
2 of your group.
Okay, yep. So we just have to beat. We don't
be better than Croatia and Morocco, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's reasonable, I'd say. Is Davis
then you
Davey's
get to
playing, or
yeah, he did play today.
how did
Yeah.
he look?
He looked pretty good, actually. Yeah,
Okay, well
he looked
that's
pretty good.
positive.
And the best thing is that you get to the knockout round, then it's single elimination. So on a given day, crazy stuff. The World Cup in Russia, they beat Spain in one of the
Right.
craziest games I've ever watched. You never know in a single elimination what's going to happen. So Canada's not dead. I think today was a good result for them, and we still got Brazil to come tomorrow. Honestly, Shay, I'll say this. Canada lost today, and I think they're in a better spot than the United States, who had a draw.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Who did the U.S. go against? I watched it this morning, but I kind of forgot.
They had a draw against Wales.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
but
Ooh.
Wales is inferior, and the U.S. will have to play England on Friday,
Right.
who
They're gonna get
are,
crunched.
yeah, I hope they get crushed. And then obviously Wales will play Iran, who lost 6-1 to England. So they put up a whole lot of goals, and then the U.S. loses on Friday. That's pressure on the U.S. to press and try to score a lot of goals in soccer, which can get you in trouble because the opponent might find a way to score a goal or two if you're caught cheating.
I love it. I love the madness. It's great, and the fact that is it guitar? Is that what the place is called where they're playing?
Yeah, so many different pronunciations.
Yeah. Well, the fact that that's like have you ever watched the documentary about Fire Festival with Ja
Yeah,
Rule
yeah,
and Billy?
yeah, yeah,
The fact that they're putting on one of those festivals for one of the biggest, the most popular sport in the world, and the
yep.
most popular event in that popular sport is crazy. I think that's a story that everyone should be following. Like we'll look back and say like, what a failure this was, basically.
Oh, absolutely. There was a journalist this morning who wrote a story about this really interesting piece. He was wearing like a Caribbean shirt that you'd wear down south because it's summer in Qatar right now. It's 28 degrees
Okay.
Celsius today, which my God, I'd kill for that. But
Me too.
so he's wearing a Caribbean shirt. It's got a lot of colors, as you know. Everybody's worn one in their life. Officials stopped him because they thought it was a gay flag on his
Oh my
shirt.
God.
They don't allow
Really?
gay marriage over there. They don't allow same-sex marriage. They don't promote it. Like if you're caught, you can be in big trouble. Like their human rights are terrible over there. He was detained for over an hour, and they asked him to remove the shirt. And eventually, he got proof that it wasn't a pro-gay shirt, and he kept it on. But he wrote a story about it that he was in with law officers for an hour talking to him about his shirt.
You can't escape it, man. You can't like you can cover it all up with, oh, this is great, we're hosting, but
Mm-hmm.
there's always going to be these demon stories. Same with Russia, same with
Yep.
Brazil. When the
Yep.
Olympics were there, like there's always going to be bad things, and unfortunately, yeah, like these cities are great for hosting them, but sometimes they're not always the best place. And also, like for the officers who detain them, Google Chrome, it takes two
Right.
seconds to maybe they
Yeah.
don't have the internet over there, but like, come on now, like you can go 2 seconds and look and see what the shirt is, and be like, okay, you're free to go.
Yeah, and if I don't know if you've seen it yet, it's on Netflix called FIFA Uncovered. It's a really interesting documentary. It's about really the corruption of FIFA and the cost of hosting a World Cup. It's so staggering. What happened to Brazil in 2012? They built 4 stadiums just for the World Cup. Cost
Mm-hmm.
them over $1 billion to build these 4 stadiums, and they have no money. It
Collapse their
crippled
economy. Yeah.
their economy, and now the poor people who didn't get any help before are even in worse situations. Like hosting a World Cup and even the Olympics. I'm glad Canada doesn't put in bids because it doesn't help your country at all. It helps you
Mm-hmm.
briefly, but it cripples your economy in the long run.
Yeah, yeah. For that little bit of detail in history that we hosted that one
Yeah,
time. Remember that we
yeah.
hosted that one time? It's crazy. Are we a political podcast now, or are we gonna? Are
Hey,
we're still in sports?
we're a jack of all trades, master of none.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. You know who is a jack of all trades? Jack Hughes, who is just dominating right now.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of everything.
it's got to be a twist of fate for you to be playing the Devils and to be a little bit afraid.
Oh, you mean like if this was this time last year or just
Just in general. I mean, New Jersey's kind of in a punching bag for a long time. We
they
joke about
have?
them on this show
Yeah,
because I watch them and they stink, but now they've won 13 in a row. And your Leafs come in as, I think, a betting underdog tonight.
I know. It's crazy. Like, are we going to be the ones to do it? I don't know. Like, I don't have that
I
much
bet on your
confidence.
Leafs tonight.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
got to happen eventually. It's in New York, right?
Yep, Prudential Center tonight.
Okay, okay. You know what? It could happen. I think the Leafs are pissed, and we can go. We'll touch on New Jersey in a second, but I think the Leafs are pissed. And what is it? 5 overtime losses or shootout losses this year?
Yeah.
Like you've brought it up before on the pod. It's too many for a team this skilled. Like I'm looking at who's on the ice when Josh Bailey scored that on Monday night. I think it was Monday night, and it's ridiculous. Like it's Michael Bunting and Justin Hull and Matthews way in the opponent's zone. I'm like, that's just I don't know. I don't think it's appropriate for the time. Like then you have Marner throwing lazy coverage, and
Yep.
that's we can go back to the Vegas and the Riley Smith goal in Toronto. But yeah, I don't know. Like they're too skilled, but it feels like they're maybe checked out or they're just not giving that little push of effort. And obviously, I mean, we can go over Shalgren and his mistake,
His antics.
his antics that kind of not cost him the game really, but like at least cost him an opportunity to
A
seal
point.
seal an easy 2 points, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you add Connor Timmins today, which I think that's well, for lack of better words,
A Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
it's a Band-Aid on a gash. Yeah. Like a big
Yeah.
open gash you got from, missing the piece of wood and he hit right in your foot. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they can do, but like is Connor Timmins better than Sandin and Liljegren, who are their third pairing right now?
Yeah.
This is what I tried to
Not
decide
much.
today.
Not much if he is. Like
Yeah.
if I'm Toronto, I'm playing Sandin and Liljegren over these next 20 game stretch because I don't think Reilly would be back in the next 20.
Right.
Because you got to know what they are definitively. Because if you say, because I think Liljegren has gotten better. Sandin's now become the enforcer of the team, which is I never thought I'd expect him in that role.
Yeah.
But if you need to move off of him, be definitive and say, you know what, we need to be aggressive and make moves because he's been a liability so far, and Hull hasn't exactly been Mr. Dependable either.
Yeah, that could be his new nickname, Mr. Dependable. I think I'm just gonna start calling him that. Yeah. Dubas saw one fight, Sandin's fight, and said, "Yeah, we have to bring in somebody else." So he came away and got Timmins like right away. Sue Graham, by the way. I don't know if there's.
Oh, of course he is.
I had to look that up today. I was like, I wonder by any chance if he did play, and he did. Yeah, he just had.
That's why they got him for a bag of sticks, or whoever that player's name was.
Yeah. Whoever his name is exactly. He's not Mr. Dependable though.
No.
And on the other side, yeah, I mean, we don't have to rave about the Devils. I'm sure you've done that plenty over the last 2-3 weeks when they've been on this heaters. Yeah, your team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that it's just consistency in the fact that you look 2 years ago and you say, who are these two goaltenders in net? Besides Blackwood, who's injured right now, it's like incredible the fact that they're still being this effective with. I'm not going to say a lack of talent in net because I think both those guys have shown they're not just shown but proven that they can be very effective. But it's just interesting to see like those are the two guys who have kind of kept them afloat and gave them the consistent goaltending night in and night out. And not, I'm sure they went to overtime a few times in these. They did
against your Leafs, and they did against the Oilers once. Yeah, they won them both.
So like obviously they've kept up to those high pressure situations and being able to, just not dominant, but obviously play effective. 1 second, my cat's going nuts. I'm just gonna have to call him out.
No problem. Well, let Shay get to his cat. Let him touch on that, but. Yeah, New Jersey's been really, really. They've been really good. I'm impressed with them. I watched a lot of Colorado and Dallas on Monday night. That was really good. I wanted to touch on Ottawa with you.
Okay.
They lose 5-1 to San Jose on Monday night, which is that can't happen. I don't care if you're on the road. You can't lose 5-1 to that team. And I don't think DJ Smith's going to get fired, Shay, because Ottawa doesn't technically have an owner right now. Their owners are selling the team, so there isn't. Dorian has all the control to do it. I don't really think it matters how they play because there isn't an owner to fire these guys until somebody else comes in. It's kind of free game, and I don't think it's going to turn around that quick because I hated this defense core from the start. I hate it more now. Hamonic still playing every night, but it's ugly. I thought they'd be better than this. I didn't think Montreal would be head and shoulders better than Ottawa, and they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even though they got tuned up last night by your Sabres.
Huh?
I wondered if you watched that game, and I thought, he's definitely watching that game. Yeah, two of the two teams like that. No, I agree with you, but let's put yourself into an owner's perspective. You're Ryan Reynolds came to you. I want to go buy the team with you.
Right.
Are you firing DJ Smith or Pierre Dorian if that was your first effective move getting in there? Or do you say
I'd probably consider it because I'd want to hire my own people. I'd want to interview. Yeah.
But I mean, from a purely play perspective and getting the team wrapped around, do you think, you can look at Dorian's signings, his draftings and say, you know what, you haven't done enough here. I'm going to let you go regardless of whether he's your guy or not. Cause I mean, Dubas brought in his guys, let's be honest.
Yep.
Do you think you would do the same based on their history? And same with DJ Smith. I mean, he's been giving a little bit of leash, I guess, with this team because they were up and coming 2 years away from 2 years away. Do you let you axe his ass too? Because that's been a major question, obviously, within the media and within the team. Probably would think about it.
I think DJ's got it. He's been there too long, and I haven't seen good enough adjustments like in game that make me think. And it's crazy because every team has productive players. Every bad team, like Drew's been really good for the Senators this year, and DeBrincat's been pretty good.
Yeah, good talk.
Timmy Stutz has been pretty good, but I mean, goaltending has been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It has, and it's been inconsistent. I haven't seen, the defense score is a big issue, but the bottom, you got to have guys that can defend too up front that will play. But I look at the whole situation and think I got a pretty good team up front, and just in general, I got a decent place to start if I was owning the team. But I wouldn't say I trust Pierre Dorian to give me really good defensemen. I don't trust Pierre Dorian to get me a great goaltender. I don't trust DJ Smith to coach me to the playoffs because he's never done it. So I think I would just go wholesale change, knowing that my job's pretty attractive to a GM because you're not scorched earth. Hopefully you don't got to rebuild, right? You're jumping into a moving train that already has, a bunch of Fast and Furious cars in it, and you just got to get Vin to jump in the car and get Fast 5 going.
Yeah. Rest in peace to the Tokyo Drift guy. It's tough. He made it back to the show though. He lived, actually. I don't know if you knew that or not. He ended up living through that terrible accident.
Asian guy?
Yeah. They spin it so that he lives, and it's his big dramatic
after
comeback.
Statham kills him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not great. Jan, that's his name, Jan. Yeah.
Now we'll see in the next movie. What's her name lived after falling off the plane there? Gal Gadot.
Yeah, Gal Gadot.
She lived. No. She lived. Yeah.
Yeah, she lived too. No. I mean, fully agree with you. I think that it's been enough leeway, and I think if you were to get in there, I think you can make some real changes. Unfortunately, they have young guys there like Brandstrom, Lassie Thompson, and Jake Sanderson, but that's not going to help you win now. Unfortunately, those guys are probably 3-4 away from being, I'd say steady NHL defenders. Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem is there's not much out there. You got Jacob Churchurkin, who I have two teams in my mind. I want to bring this up with you also. If you had two teams to pick and say, hey, these are the two teams that are most attractive and probably more likely to get him, who are the two teams you have in your head?
Okay. Edmonton jumps out to me, and I would say the other, let me think. Edmonton, like a team out east, perhaps. Florida.
Okay. Yeah, I have Florida and LA. LA is
Yeah,
they're my
yeah,
dark horse just because they need defensive help and they obviously have they have the stock to get rid of, stockpile. Whether you want to give up on Quentin Byfield, maybe Alex Turcotte is attractive to them. But
right.
yeah, you have pieces that you can give up and get star acquired, get rid of maybe Jonathan Quick if you didn't think he was at a level of play anymore, get rid of some cap from them. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, I agree. And he's going to go somewhere, but like maybe and Ottawa can get him. But at this point, it's like they're going to get him for nothing because they're not going to be, they're going to be a lottery team.
Right.
Unfortunately, like I can't see them getting better if your star players are already playing at their best, which I believe they are. DeBrincat obviously had a slow start, but he seems to be kind of rallying back in these last 10 games. If they're already playing well and you're still at a bottom feeder, I mean, what kind of hope do you have for the rest of the season?
And that's the thing with Ottawa. They'll go in a heater from January 15th to March 18th, and they'll be 10 points out of the playoffs and pick 9th or pick 10th and fuck themselves over on getting a really good pick. Like that, they do that every year, this team.
Yeah.
They can't, like, if you're going to be bad, be bad. Like, just commit to being awful.
Yeah.
But
That's the odds.
I'm happy Lassie Thompson's coming up because I think he's a good player and I want to see him play at the NHL level. They got Vegas tonight. Chikrin's back, but he also scares me too, Shay, because he hurts his shoulder seemingly every third game. He's always injured, and
Right.
he would scare me on a trade.
Yeah.
But
His stock has definitely gone down. Arizona can't expect to get a first and a
no,
defensive prospect and a depth guy. Like they've got to get more reasonable with what they're going to get for this guy because the best ability is availability, right? So if he's not available, then what are you going to do?
interesting signing today in the NHL for me. I don't know if you saw it. Carolina signed third-string goalie Petri Korchkov, who actually saw him play his first NHL game. He was in the playoffs last year. He is 22. He's made 7 career NHL starts. He got a 4-year, $8 million extension from the Canes. So $2 million annually, and it's a one-way deal.
Okay.
He has to go through waivers to get back to the minors, but they got Freddie Anderson and they got Antti Ranta under contract, who are both one-way deals. Freddie's out right now, go figure. But Ranta is a UFA at the end of the year. Freddie Anderson is a UFA at the end of the year. But carrying 3 goalies the whole year as an extra roster player is not ideal because one's sitting there not getting any time. Does this signal to you could see a goalie trade from the Canes in the not too distant future?
Yeah, I would say Ranta. If I had to prefer the two, obviously I think Freddie's the better suited goaltender. He's younger as well. I think they're trying to offload Ranta to a team that could use goaltender depth.
Right.
Off the top of my head,
Tampa,
Edmonton,
maybe?
Tampa. Yeah, Tampa's another one. Brian Elliott is god awful. Let's just be honest. I mean, who else are we talking? The Leafs. God, I mean, I'd hate that trade. I would be honestly so disappointed. But it's like it's true. Like they need it, obviously. Like Jerry
Washington.
Yeah, the Caps. I mean, we could go on and on about like what they need, but yeah, like and I think they trust him. Like you watched him, you had the bare eyes on him. You thought he was pretty good from the last time I heard.
Yeah, no, he's solid. He's confident in the net. And Ranta, I don't want him starting, but if I'm a team and he's my backup, that's not the worst. That's not the worst guy to have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's far worse. Like, I mean, we can.
Does he go back to the Rangers, Ranta? Would they make that trade in division? Because I think he's a major upgrade over Halak. Halak's done. He's cooked.
I thought he was done last year.
Me too. I wouldn't have signed him.
Resigned.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. So yeah, Ronto will go somewhere, but the 7 games and getting that extension is kind of crazy. I mean,
yes,
I get it. Like maybe your AHL GM and your AHL head coach raves about this guy, but at the end of the day, with that lack of NHL experience, it's really, really tough. I mean, how many times have you heard, "Oh, this guy's great in the minors. He's going to be a star." Right. And he stays in the minors for 7-8 years, eating soggy subs and riding the bus. Like,
yeah,
it is true. Like some guys just don't elevate their game enough to get to that level. Unfortunately, with goaltending, it's even tougher because you might have a bad stretch and you've given up on way too early.
100%. And then when you get sent down, you have to go through waivers, and so it's always tricky.
Messy, yeah.
Shane Wright scored an AHL goal last night. Breakaway, nice goal for him. So way to go, Shane. But he gets a 14-day conditioning assignment to the AHL squad. And then he can come back, but he probably won't play. He'll probably go to the World Juniors. Why isn't he in junior? I don't understand this. Why? I mean, to me, this isn't even the team. This is Wright's ego somehow getting involved in sports business.
Yeah.
Because clearly the coach is like, I don't care that he's our top pick. I'm not playing him. Because the Kraken are winning games right now. And they shouldn't have, they don't feel any pressure to play Shane Wright, which they shouldn't, because they're beating every damn team they play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we spoke about this on text, and I there's really no reasonable explanation other than, egos, like you said. Hexall wants to keep a gig, and Ron Francis wants to explore options with his young star that he's gotten. But if you're Ron Francis, I think you got to realize a lot of great players went from that first year of getting drafted right to juniors. Swiss League for Austin Matthews.
Marner.
Yeah, like those guys, they all did another year. They did another lap, and it didn't hurt them whatsoever.
No.
You're not in a winning position. The Leafs weren't in a winning position when Nylander and Marner were in the minors and junior. And you know what? They came back and they had great rookie seasons. That's probably what's going to happen with Shane Wright. I think he's good enough that he can come up and be a 15, 20 goal scorer next year, not this year. But you're not doing him any favors if he's not playing. Like, yeah, great practice with the team, see it, but he's got to get live experience. And like you said, play him in the juniors, send him back down to Hamilton or whoever holds his rights now.
I mean, Kingston's got his rights. I mean, he'd be traded to a really good team that would have really good chance of getting to the Memorial Cup. So you get another big stage. You play until May, play a lot of hockey. Like that. That's how I look at it for him.
Do you think there's an attitude problem there?
Yes,
with him?
I do. Yeah, I do.
So if there is, I'd be communicating with your AHL head coach, saying what's the guy like? He's going to talk to his veterans in the room. They're going to get a feel for him. If he's still poopy pants by the time that his 14-day stint is done, I don't know why Ron Francis would keep him or bring him back up. Clearly he's just not ready.
No, he isn't. I mean, he's playing 6 minutes a game. And I wouldn't care if a player said, I'm done with junior, and he said goodbye to his billets in Kingston. You're going back. It's just, don't make that promise. It's stupid. He said he wasn't going to the World Juniors in the summer. He was never going to play at a World Juniors. Well, he's likely going to be playing at one about a couple weeks in Halifax. So, yeah, that whole story. But good for Seattle. They keep on winning, and I don't think Dave Haxtell gives one shit about Shane Wright and his feelings. I don't want to keep you too long. It's 5:30 here, and I
no. Do you want to talk some NBA before we head off?
Talk Sacramento real quick. 7 straight wins for my Kings.
Baby.
They won again last night against Memphis.
Yeah,
they're tied for second in the West. Shay,
it's crazy. It is nuts. Like, I'm watching this team last night, and granted, Memphis has always got injury problems, but they had most of their players. They're really the only key guy. They didn't have Maine last night, but other than them, they're a full roster. And I'm like, okay, it's about time. They're going to snap the streak. Memphis is going to get it together. And Sacramento, they're clicky. They play efficient ball. De'Aaron Fox is a great guard. He's having a hell of a season also. But yeah, they've got depth on the bench, and I think they're just really well coached, honestly.
And they can score with anybody. They're averaging 120 points during the 7-game win streak. They got so many options. Sabonis is playing great. Like you said, De'Aaron Fox is averaging 25 points a game this season. So he's been unreal. Who is the best team in the West?
Hard.
Utah, I was impressed. They played 3 games in 4 nights, but they beat Phoenix and they beat Portland. They did lose to the Clippers, but you win 2 of those 3 in a 4-night stretch. That's impressive stuff from Utah.
I know. I keep wanting to believe that they're not that guy. They're not this good, but I think even I am getting a little swept away by just the performances that they've been having. I don't know. My original pick of the year was still the Clippers, and I thought the Clippers would be good. And they beat the Utah Jazz, but obviously, like you said, the Utah is a little banged up after playing so much. But the fact that they didn't have, I'd say, half a Kawhi Leonard and no Paul George, and they were able to beat a team like Utah, does impress
Yeah.
me quite a bit. It's just going to be health for the Clippers on my
Yeah.
end. I mean,
Yeah.
if they can get it together and be a healthy team, they're so deep and they can look like they can be so strong. I love Zubac and Paul George. You can't say enough about him and career that he's had. But yeah, it's just about health with a lot of these teams, and it seems to be just scattered throughout the NBA that there's just health issues all going on. But like you said, like some of the best teams like Utah continue to take advantage of that and just pound teams down.
I watched the Nets last night. I thought Ben Simmons actually played pretty good. I
I
thought it
was
was
going to
one,
say the same thing.
other than free throws, but I thought he played really well last night. But Nets, you can't lose to Philly. Minus
Awful.
Maxey,
Yeah.
minus Embiid, and minus Harden. You just can't. You have to win that game.
Yeah, it is. It's a pathetic performance. And like you said, Simmons actually played pretty good, double double, and I think he had seven rebounds. Like it's just terrible. I was very high on Nick Claxton, and you kind of said at the beginning of the year that he wasn't able to be a starter, and I'm starting to think that you're right. I think he
Mhm.
needs to find his role on the bench. He's a young guy, needs to get his reps, but he's clearly too early in that role. I think they need to trade for a legit center if they want to be competitive.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, like Kevin Durant only had 20 points last night. It was a little off night for him as well. And they didn't have a bench. Like they didn't have anyone coming off the bench where, Paul Reed. Two days ago, you could ask me who Paul Reed was. I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
what
He
actor,
was
what
all
movies
over
is
the
he in?"
floor last night.
What's that?
He was all over the floor
Oh,
last
he
night.
was a monster. He was a
Yeah.
monster on both ends. He had like 20 points, 10 rebounds, and he was shutting guys down left and
Yeah.
right. And kudos to PJ Tucker too, who was in that lineup, and he did a great job of covering Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So, but and all those things considered, like you said, those three big guys were out for Philly. You got to ride the waves. I get it's an emotional game. Simmons is back. He gets the boos, the cheers when he misses the easy layups and free throws. But yeah, you got to find a way to win that. That's pretty pathetic. I was tuned in for that though. I was excited all day to
Mhm.
watch
Yeah.
the Philadelphia crowd rip this guy apart.
I thought they'd be worse, quite frankly. I
That's
thought
what
they
the
were.
commentator said too, but they were pretty loud. I get it. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, rip the building down?
It's
And
so much time too, because he's been gone for like a year and a half. He just hasn't
right,
played.
yeah, I guess he missed that first game, right? Last year
Yeah.
we talked about it where he sat on the bench and he still got ripped apart, but would have been better if he would have played that game.
Celtics are dialed in 13-4. Tatum looks like an MVP. I think they got the Mavs tonight. That's a fun game.
It is, yeah. Get to two. I mean, we can get to our top fives if you want, but two guys on my top five have been playing in that
Yeah,
matchup.
let's do it. Let's do our top 5 NBA players so far this season.
Okay. Do you want to do 1 and 1, or do you want to list all five and then what do you want? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, we'll do 1 and 1. Sure, let's do that.
Okay. So five, I had two-time MVP Joker. You think, well, he's a little low on this list, but he's not having a fantastic season. But
No,
he's got to be tired from carrying this team for 2 years on his back throughout getting first round exits. I favor him. I think he's still going to have a fantastic year. He's still a walking triple double, and one of the funner players to watch too. I always try to tune into Denver games if they're available. But yeah, he's my number 5. He's still playing well, and he's still a top 5 player in my opinion.
yeah, I don't disagree there. He's been great. I'm going with De'Aaron Fox, number 5.
Okay, we're going for the dark horses already.
25 a game. He's cooking people.
Yeah, okay.
I love Sacktown. Mike Woodson, Coach of the Year. No, I'm just kidding. It's a little early for that, but I think that he's playing really well. He's actually he's closing games. Like last night, he made some big shots, and that's one of the knocks on him in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's shooting a really good percentage. He's playing well. I'm going with my guy at number 5.
Okay, your boy Sacktown. Sorry, this is gonna be a Sacktown podcast here soon. Number 4. Unfortunately, the team's not doing well, but I feel like he is still performing at a high level. Steph Curry trying to keep this team afloat. Obviously, they're not in a playoff spot right now, But I still think you got to put respect on a guy who's almost 35. He's still shooting efficiently. He's making plays still. And unfortunately, the team has not got it together, including his co-partner, Klay Thompson, who's been awful this season. But I still think you got to put respect on his name. He's still a top 5 in scoring right now, and he is not getting any help, which is probably, unfortunately, going to hurt the team until they pull it together.
I also have Steph at 4. I mean, 2 50-point games already, shooting 42% from 3. Yeah, he's
cooking.
He's cooking.
He's Chef Curry right now.
He is nothing but like Wiseman's playing in the G League. Like he's already down there. They got blown out by the Pelicans on Monday night. They got your Clippers tonight, so that should be a fun game. But yeah, Steph Curry, despite the crap, has been phenomenal. I couldn't agree more.
For 3, I got my boy, and there's no bias here because you said it. MVP style play, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, me too.
a little peek here. But like he's just doing things differently this year. Like you see it in his defensive game. He's doing little things, kind of improving little by little every year. And at the same time being an effective scorer and still shooting the 3 well, being clutch in those moments. And I mean, the hottest team in the league still continues to roll. You know, the only people they're scared of is Benny the Bull in Chicago, which unfortunately that's their weakness. Is the Bulls lost twice to them this year, but he's playing great. I love the confidence that he oozes throughout the team, and he's being more and more of a leader. So, yeah, he's my number 3.
No, I wasn't. I got Tatum at 3 as well. I think he's been. I think he's. If my number 1 wasn't there, I think he's the MVP.
Okay.
I am at 3 for a different reason. I just think there's another. I think he's playing that well. Like I think he had something to prove this year, and a lot of guys are tailing off. Like Embiid's not going to play enough games to be in the MVP discussion, so he's out. Jokic is not going to win 3 in a row, so he's already out. So I think it's going to be 3 or 4 guys. I'm not sure they give another one to Curry, even if he plays well enough to get it, because that just that would defeat the purpose. But I think Tatum's will be a top 3 candidate all season long.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Hope not going to wood for my sake. Number 2, I have the guy he's playing against, Luka Doncic. Like I said, back to back. Dallas has not been impressive this year just because they unfortunately have a lack of player and a lack of consistency on their team, which is not his fault, but he's playing as well as he could have. He's leading the league in scoring right now. He's being a disher. His efficiency ratings are all off the charts. Unfortunately, he doesn't always defend super well, but kind of sets him apart from some of the other people on this list. But I got to appreciate a guy who offensively is gifted beyond belief. And he's to me, he's still a 1-2 and dragging a not great Dallas team probably to a playoff spot this year.
Yeah, he doesn't play any defense. Poor guy. Can't do it all though. Can't do it all.
Right.
I got number 2. I got the Greek Freak.
Okay.
I got the Greek Freak.
Ooh.
Friday night was not his best moment. I watched that game. He couldn't hit a free throw. Looked like me, vintage Noah at the line. But the team's winning games. He's been super efficient.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to get better every night. And I watch him. He's shooting better. He looks so much more crisp from 3 too. He's not afraid to shoot it. That's one thing I love about Giannis. Shooting good percentage. He's on a great team. Middleton hasn't played a game yet. Holiday missed 2 weeks, and they didn't miss a beat. He was just rolling through. Connaughton wasn't playing. So yeah. I like Giannis. Honestly, Shay, I will say this. If Tyrese Maxey hadn't got hurt, he might have been on this list for me. He was playing that way. I was so disappointed before
what's going on here?
He was hurt Friday night. I was so sad. I was watching that game, and I was so disappointed to see him go down.
I didn't know. I like Tyrese, but he's not like my favorite player. So you got a couple guys you're just
I love him
on this year.
Yeah, Maxey. He's at 25 at the half, rolled ankles, but he would have been tied Kobe that night, I think.
Yeah, keep your drink your milk. Make sure your bones are strong for Tyrese Maxey. Number 1, I have Giannis. I mean, he's an easy pick for me, and he's a guy that I can see getting better throughout the year.
Yes.
His percentages are not great. Like you said, he's I think he's like 44 maybe from 54 maybe from the free throw, and then like 22 from beyond three. I think those numbers will rise instead of decline because, like you said, he is that obsession with getting better and becoming a better and better player in himself. And obviously, like you said, they're missing pieces, but their team continues to win. And, they're going to be the biggest threat, I think, for the Celtics coming down the stretch, probably when it comes to trying to grab that number one seed.
And number one, I got White Pillsbury Doughboy Doncic. So we flip our
Flip
guys.
flop, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he puts up 35 seemingly every night. And it doesn't seem that tough, and he's got to do everything on that team because nobody else can do anything. Christian Wood can score, but he can't assist or create his own shot. So it's just crazy. I wanted to tell you this. Netflix today came up with a new show that I think you'll like. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen the preview many times, and it's up your alley, and I am going to watch it. It's called Wednesday. It's kind of like a spinoff to the Addams Family type vibe. It stars Jenna Ortega, who is in the second season of the show You. If you've never seen it, you'll know her when you see her. She's a up and coming. I think she's gonna be a really big star in the acting world. She's really good, and it's a humor / like dark comedy type and horror at the same time, which I think is right up your alley. Maybe they should have put it out at Halloween time, but Christmas can be scary for a lot of people too. So maybe that's exactly nightmare on before Christmas. But it looks interesting. It's gotten pretty good reviews, and I wanted to tell you about it because I think it's 8 episodes, but it looks intriguing.
I like it. Okay, I'll check it out. I've never been a big Addams Family guy. Like I don't like that show. I mean, I think it was back in the 90s maybe, but they always aired it when we were younger at Nicky's or doing something at our babysitters. So yeah, no, I'll check it out if you get the recommendation. Right now, currently watching The Terminal List. I don't know if you've seen that or not with Chris Pratt. So really into that. Shocking. First episode was shocking ending. I will say I was appalled.
You're a big Chris Pratt guy.
I don't. That's the thing. I told Kennedy before we started watching, I said, I hate Chris Pratt for both his political views and because I think he's not a fantastic actor, but he's in everything now. You can't escape him. You turn around, he's in your face.
That show's on
Prime.
Okay. It's good then. Yeah. Amazon, I'm telling you, they pump out good crap.
I agree. Yeah, that new Rings of Power didn't get great reviews, but I mean, other than that, they only spent $1 billion on it. Do you think that Jeff Bezos has $1 billion?
I think so. He might have to give it to the Washington football team, but I think
that's spicy. I hope he does purchase a football team. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, there's some news here in the MMA world actually right now. The UFC light heavyweight champ, Yuri Prochazka, has a severe orthopedic injury. He won't defend his title at UFC 282. He's decided to vacate the belt out of respect for other contenders.
Wow.
So the fight between former champ Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev will now headline UFC 282. Former title holder Glover Teixeira, who in August reportedly verbally agreed to square off in a rematch against Prochazka, ultimately turned down a title fight at UFC 282. So these two, I believe, will fight for the belt, but it's not saying it definitively. But that changes the main event. So wow,
that's rare.
Big news. Yeah,
that's the second time this year, right? Especially with Chimaev, or is that his name? Chimaev coming in overweight.
Yeah, Chimaev came out overweight, and they do that. Now that's a big deal for him to vacate. You never see that in fighting, that a guy would just vacate his title. So it must be something pretty serious that he must be worried about being out long term. He doesn't want to hold up the division. So I give him respect for doing that because I think Ankalaev is the best fighter in that division. I think he'll beat Blachowicz in that fight, but that's the last card of the year, and that's a big hit to that card because I was looking forward to that rematch at the main event. So I'll still order it, but
I was gonna say for you, you're still gonna be buying it. Don't worry.
yeah, I'll still be buying it, but
What's got your interest tonight on a Wednesday before we hit Thursday night football tomorrow?
Tonight, yeah, your Leafs Devils is fun for sure. Winnipeg, Minnesota actually intrigues me a little bit. Almost every team plays tonight, so that's nice too. Lots to bounce around on. Your Celtics, Mavs intrigues me. College hoops, Creighton and San Diego State, little final at the Maui Invitational. Might check in that. Throw a little bet on San Diego State tonight, plus 5.5. Yeah, and also late night. I kind of want to watch the Sens. I want to see how they play against Vegas. I'm just intrigued with that team right now. Not because they're any good, but there's something about them. So 11 o'clock start, right up my alley. That's when I'm just hitting my peak. So that might be fun to watch a late night.
I'm getting my first REM cycle in at 11. You're just firing off all
Well, you'd be
cylinders.
proud of me last night because I slept from 6:30 to 8:30, just from
Okay.
pure exhaustion, I think. And then I couldn't sleep right away, but I went to bed at 1:30 and then got 2 hours. So I got like 4 hours last night. It's pretty good.
In total, not all collectively, but in
No, but
separate pieces.
like it all counts. I banked 4 hours, right? So,
Okay. I respect that. That's better than the usual for you.
and before I let you, I wanted to pitch you this.
Okay.
So I'm all about moving Canadian Thanksgiving to when the Americans is because it's better and there's football attached to it and it just benefits everybody.
Okay, I see
Ours
your
is
points.
stupid and nobody cares about it. And yeah. So move it to November 24th on the Thursday, right? But to spice it up even more, we eliminate Family Day in February. Made up holiday. Trudeau made it up. I hate Trudeau, and it's a political podcast, so I want to spite him. Get rid of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Throw Family Day on Black Friday. Don't call it family, call it whatever. It's basically the Boxing Day to Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you have Christmas off, then you have Boxing Day off because people they want you to go shop and boost the economy after Christmas, try to keep it going again.
Mm-hmm.
Do this again. People can go do their Christmas shopping Black Friday, stay home, do it, right? Amazon, whatever you want to do, go on your sites. I'll order it full price in mid-December because we'll do it out of spite and it's too early to buy gifts. Nevertheless, people that are more prepared can do it. Leftover turkey, you got lots of afternoon hockey. Your Leafs play 3 o'clock on Friday. You could watch that game, right off a nap. You got football that day. So it's basically Boxing Day, Christmas, but Thanksgiving, a month ahead of that. What do you make of this thought of mine?
Okay. I like the moving the family day. That's a good one. And that's I think it's necessary because I think that not enough companies give not enough time off during the holidays when you're with family and trying to see people.
Right.
And I mean, what's Family Day in February? What am I doing in February? I'm freezing my nuts off. Probably going to stay inside, not going to see anybody.
Right.
I agree with that one. The Canadian Thanksgiving, I see your point about it being kind of useless, but I hate that in 1 month is Thanksgiving and then Christmas. That ears me to the bone. I never like that, and I don't think I ever can get on it. So I'm a nay for that one, but I'm a yay for the other one.
Oh my God.
I can't do it, man. That's too much. That's too many people I got to visit in the span of a month.
Just don't go.
Oh, I got to go. I'm a gentleman. I'm a gentleman.
I know you are. I know I'm not. Like one of those holidays, I will tell my family I'm not coming. Like I'm watching football, and
I think you got to pick. If you got to pick a holiday to go, I think you got to pick Christmas, right? I know you're not a Christmas guy, but
yeah, but I'd have to pick Christmas because of the gifts and
so then you get
that crap. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll give it more thought though. Next week.
I'm just saying, like ours is such a weird time. Nobody cares about it in Canada. Like it just goes by. Like people forget it happened.
Yeah. It breaks up. I mean, it's a holiday in October, right? Like
But I hate a Monday holiday too, Shay. I'd rather have it Friday.
Yeah, I see your point
I
there.
hate a Monday. I
That's
like going
fair.
to work on Monday. I'd rather have Friday off than a Monday.
Yeah, is that what Americans do?
Well, they get
Holiday
Thursday.
Friday?
Tomorrow's a holiday, and then it's the most called in sick day of the year on the Friday.
Right, because yeah, everyone's hungover slash
And
you're
Black
degenerate. You're probably
Black
still in
Friday.
your boss is calling you in your Vegas, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Where are you?" And I said, "I don't know."
You're in the
And
middle of the strip and you got no gear on.
yeah. You wake up like Doug on a roof, and you don't know how you got there, and your boss is like, "You have like 30 reports due today, and I need them all now." And he's like, "I don't know."
Yes, it's not happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
but tonight's the biggest party night of the year in the United States. It was voted on because everybody's home from university and everything, so it's like a
right.
full green light special tonight to
Yeah,
party.
and they can't handle their families, which I think is
Yes.
common theme. So they have to go out and get
Amen to
liquor.
that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We know that story. But no, good talking to you, and hope you enjoy your weekend and Friday that we talked about yesterday. And
Yeah,
yeah, looking forward to speaking to you next week. I'll either have good news or bad news for the pod and people who listen.
absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving.
There's Shamus poo-pooing my Thanksgiving idea, but hey, I'm on board, so that's all we need. Tomorrow's show, Matt Wright joins. We will preview NFL Week 12 college football final weekend of every team playing. It's the last weekend of the season. That is sad. I'm telling you, it's crippling. But we'll talk all betting angles. I'll recap some NHL action tonight. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon, everybody. Have a good evening. Enjoy the sports. This is To The Point.